Okay, here I am at the North Carolina Aviation Museum and Hall of Fame. But I'm not sure if they're open. The gate's open. Let's give it a try. This is the North Carolina Aviation Museum Hall of Fame in Ashboro, North Carolina. Look at this outstanding collection of models hanging from the ceiling. Looks like every kind of airplane, military airplane that you can imagine. And there's a Russian bomber there. Well, this could be an air show unto itself. And a rocking chair. Okay, I'll show you this in the restroom. Not only do they have pictures on the walls, they have this carved, I don't know what this is. It's something oriental. Paintings everywhere, paintings. Pictures. Look, even in the restroom. The pictures in the restroom. And more airplanes. Looks like I got the place to myself this morning. For a while, anyhow. Now, what is this J3 flight fare? It's got the Royal Air Force. Has a Franklin engine. Special edition of the Piper J3 Cub was used to raise funds to support the British war effort in World War II. Flint fires. They were known as. And these were flown, they were given to England, and they used them to raise funds. The history of flights here. Man carrying kites. Can you imagine being in a basket hanging underneath a kite? All right, here we have a steerman. Notice they painted the wings yellow in case it went down. It would be easy to spot. This is a steerman, model 75. The standard World War II training aircraft. Trainer. Big old radial engine on it. And look, you can step up to the cockpit. Open cockpit. Instructor is here. The student was here, I think. Maybe they have it backwards. Anyhow, they had to communicate by shouting or what? I don't know how they communicated. Have to find out. Doesn't sound like shouting would be very practical with the sound of the wind. They probably had some kind of radio intercom. There's another J3. Let's continue around the center part of the museum, then I'll come around and do the outside showcases. Man, there is a lot in this museum. I had no idea. Look at this little model plane. Unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. They used it in September 11th, 2001, after the attacks on the World Trade Center. That has to be one of the first ones, huh? It's got a little motor on it. And a camera. I guess that's a camera. Yeah, where's the camera at? All right, here's a J3. Painted the yellow that characterized J3s. Here's a little model of a J3. Maybe that's a flying experimental. What does that mean? Look at this Thunderbolt model. That thing is huge. Okay, what do we have over here? Here's a model of a P-51 Mustang D. And here's another, this is Canadian, I think. Is it a Canadian or British symbol? Let's see, let me go this way first. Now look at the folding wings on this one. Look how these things fold back. Learning to glide. This is a Blot Massia. And where was it made at? All right, this is a P-51 Mustang model. I don't know what scale it is. It's not the real deal. Okay, let's see what this one is. All right, here's a P-40, this is British, P-40 Warhawk model. And then, I don't know what this actual plane is. There's a Hellcat model. I wonder who made these things. They're so Scottish Aviation Bulldog is a British two-seat side-by-side training aircraft. Okay, so it's a British training aircraft, Scottish British training aircraft. Just look at all the different pictures they have here. It is amazing. All right, radial engines ruled until jet engines came along. Pratt & Whitney, twin Wasp, 1830. 2 rows of cylinders. Here's a 2600, another twin. Warner Scarab radial engine. Pratt & Whitney double Wasp, 2800. On DC-3s, Convair 340. Pratt & Whitney 4360. Look at that one. That is a monster size. And look how the cylinders are swirled around there. That was a Super Fortress, the B-29 engine. Man, it is a lot of parts on that thing. Slope Starduster. It's a U.S. single-seat sport airplane. The Cox Hawk. Now these were used in air shows a lot. Bobby Cox in Apex. Was this built from a kit, maybe? I don't know, but let's go over here and see. This is a Supermarine Spitfire model. Look at that. And then we have a one Cessna. What is this? $172. All right, we have jet engines, some of the earlier ones. This is a Westinghouse J30 turbojet engine. Look how narrow, tube-like the engine is. And they made a lot of noise. Aerojet Engineering Corporation. And then this is a paraglider. Look at the handlebars. And it's a 2-seater. I don't know if I want to fly on one of those things or not. Okay, let's continue around the exterior. military cot. Melvin David Robinson. Mel Robinson. And here's a J-65 turbojet. Curtiss Wright J-65. In 1950, they were used on the Skyhawk F-34 and the Grumman F-11F. All right, here's a little homemade job right here. Aerosport Quail, home built. Okay, let's check out hangar number 2. This looks like a instrument trainer. Oh, wow, look at this. It's a A-26? What is this? Oh, but first of all, let's check out the Mooney Cadet. Last production of the Aero Coupe, produced in 1970 by 6 different companies. It does look like an Aero Coupe. So the Cadet was, what was it used for? Training, maybe? All right, this is a North Carolina National Guard, Air National Guard. And this is a L-16. Target kites from World War II. And look at this. It's a glider. Okay, here's another model of a P-51 and a replica, small scale. It's even got a 4-blade prop. Preddy Memorial Foundation. George Preddy and William Preddy. Well, let's find out the story about the Preddys. Carolina Girl. Look at this. This is a B-25 that was reconstructed by volunteers. Where's it located at, I wonder? All right, here's the Stearman. Back to a P-40 crashed in Darwin, Australia. And this is a Tar Heel, it's called Tar Heel, P-40. The Preddy Memorial. Okay, we have William Preddy, born in 1924, and he died in 1945 in the war. And then Major George Preddy, was that his brother? Born in Greensboro. Became the #1 B-51 ace with 26.83 victories. George Preddy grew up in Greensboro. He became a barnstormer before World War II. During the summer of 1940, he tried to join the USAF Air Force and passed all the tests, but he was told to wait for an opening. Meanwhile, Preddy joined the Army National Guard. In 1943, the Bastards of Bodney he was in Europe. 6 on the 6. In August 6, 1944, from altitude of 30,000 feet, he spotted 30 BF-109s coming on a third box of B-17s. He shot down 3. Cripes Almighty was his plane. Christmas Day, 1944, during the Battle of the Bulge, elements of the group moved to a fighter strip in Belgium. Christmas Eve, Preddy indulged in a game of craps and scooped up a pot to win $1,200. He intended to invest the money in war bonds. On Christmas Day, he led 10 of his P-51s on patrol. They would vector to a formation of enemy planes. In the ensuing fight, the squadron became scattered. Preddy was down by 2 more. He downed 2 more BF-109s. As he roared over American ack-ack batteries, Preddy was hit by friendly fire and killed, probably by bullets from friendly fire. He's got some good rules here. Diligently exercise regularly and diligently. Always be willing to go out of the way to learn something new. Always try to give the other man a boost. Fight hardest when down. Don't make excuses, but make up with deeds of action. Learn by experience, listening to others, and profit by criticism. Live a clean life, trust in God, and never lose faith in Him. Okay, this is Bill Preddy, and he's from Greensboro. And yes, George Preddy was his older brother. Oh, okay, he was born in 1924. George was born in 1919. He got his wings in 1943.
After an interview by William Shadell of CBS News, he was ordered to 30 days leave back in the States. After a brief stopover at the Pentagon for interviews by the press, Preddy arrived home to a hero's welcome at his hometown of Greensboro, North Carolina. A celebration was held for him at the War Memorial Stadium,
and April 17th.
Run his concession stand, named
Gave chase to two ME-262 jets.
seeing how well he could handle his T-Model Ford. Later in the month, he would travel to Florida to see his brother Bill, who was now finishing up his advanced training in the P-51. Finally, he got his chance to challenge Bill to a aerial dogfight, so they went up on a practice dogfight.
He was shot down by Germans
George thought Bill
south of Prague.
offhand off that time, which really speaks
He crashed in a small village,
towards the end of the war.
and the Czech citizens refused to take him, or took him to the German doctors who refused to treat him, and he died. That was April 17th, 1945. So he only lived 4 months, 3 months after his brother died, 3.5 months. There's Bill Preddy,
In addition to new responsibilities,
and this is George Preddy.
he received a new crew chief and
Wow, local heroes. They certainly deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame. Okay, here's a Thunder Jug model. Cripes Almighty. Maybe there was a plane that George Preddy flew. All right, let's look at this. Brill-size plane, Warbird, twin engine. Pretty sure this is an A-26. Look at the size of this monster. And the engines, wow. Yes, A-26 Invader, Pale Rider. And nose art was always outstanding. Okay, here it is. A-26 and a B-26. A stood for attack. Was the only American bomber to fly missions in 3 wars. After World War II, it served in first line bomber during the Korean War and during Vietnam War. Douglas started the A-26 in 1941 and followed the A-20 Havoc bomber. They built 2,500 of these during the production. The Air Force deleted the designation A for attack category later. Pratt & Whitney engines. So, World War II, Korean War, and the Vietnam War. That is amazing. Look at all these bombing missions. And look at that huge prop. Okay, here's a Messerschmitt 262. The kind that George Preddy was chasing when he was shot down by friendly fire. So this is right at the very end of the World War II, and within the last 6 months. There's a Messerschmitt 109, called a BF 109. Here's a TBF Avenger, Navy plane, Navy Marines. And here's a FW 190, another German plane. Look at the back of this A-26. Okay, the North Carolina Hall of Fame. Major George Preddy. Viola Estelle Gentry. She was the first officially recorded women's solo endurance flight record and became the first federally licensed pilot from North Carolina. Hervey Warren Wheeler, born in Durham, earned his private license in 1960. He flew for Piedmont Airlines. He's the first African-American commercial airline owner, Wheeler Flying Service. Major Thomas Wilson Furby. He was the bombardier on the Enola Gay, releasing the first atomic bomb over Hiroshima, August 6th. He made it to colonel and served in B-52s in Vietnam. Tom Davis earned his pilot's license, 1934. He founded Piedmont Aviation. Zachary Smith Reynolds, part of the Reynolds family. He made a remarkable 4-month solo flight from England to Hong Kong, arriving in April 1932. Wilbur Wright, co-inventor of the first powered-controlled airplane. He flew the longest flight, December 17, 1903, covering a distance of 852 feet. Orville Wright, co-inventor of the first powered-controlled airplane. Mary Nicholson from Greensboro became the first woman in NC to earn a PPL and a charter member of the 99s. She died while firing a military plane for the RAF. First woman to die in a military plane. Colonel Robert Morgan, born in Asheville, command pilot on the United States Air Force during World War II. Colonel Morgan was a bomber pilot with the 8th Air Force in the European theater and commander of the famous B-17 Memphis Belle, flying 25 missions. After completing the European tour, he flew 26 combat missions in the B-29 against Japan in the Pacific Theater. Harold Zeke Saunders. He was a flight instructor, airline transport pilot, and flew for Piedmont Airlines for 41 years. Piedmont Airlines, one of the most respected regional air carriers of his time. They were bought out by U.S. Air. Charlie Duke, born in Mecklenburg County. He was on the support crew for the Apollo 10. He became the youngest man to set foot on the moon as a lunar module pilot for Apollo 16. Captain Michael John Smith, born in Carteret County, piloted the space shuttle Challenger that exploded in 1973. I didn't know that. At an altitude of 48,000 feet. There's seats, I think, from the Piedmont Airlines plane. No, American Airlines. Okay, here's the Piedmont Airlines route of the pacemaker. My camera's slightly off for some reason. These are the jets that they used. They were a regional carrier. And here was their route. Route of the pacemaker. From Columbus, Ohio to Myrtle Beach. From Baltimore to Atlanta. And there's their logo right there. Here's the founder, Mr. Davis, Thomas Davis. In 1989, it merged with U.S. Air. It had 22,000 employees, flew to 95 airports from hubs in the southeastern United States. Here's some of their serving. Look, they're actually made out of China. I don't think I ever flew on Piedmont Airlines. He died in 1999. Trustee of Wake Forest University. Well, look, they expanded. They actually flew as far as San Francisco and LA. Okay, let us check out these old cars. Ford Coupe in the filming of Hollywood movie Killers 3, shot at Randolph County, based on a true story. A 1936 Ford coach. Look, it's got bullet holes in the side of it. A P-11 staff car. They gave numbers. You see these in the movies about World War II, and this is what they use for staff cars. 87 horsepower, 6-cylinder engine. This is the history. On August the 6th, 1944, he scored 6 kills in 5 minutes. The feat that still stands today. And here's a Harley, military Harley. Look at the saddlebags on this thing. Seat looks like a horse saddle. They got the rifle. That's pretty neat. And here's the ubiquitous Jeep. This looks like a medical evacuation ambulance. Look at the radio. Here's a restored Jeep, a Willys. '48 Willys Jeep. This looks like a radar screen. These are Link trainers. Basic instrument trainer. You would sit in that thing and the instructor would be outside and he would put you into all kinds of circumstances. Yeah, why would the sewing machine be here? I want to know. Oh, sewing machine manufacturer made these link chains, I guess. Look at this diorama of Europe. And apparently they captured a V1. See it there on that flat car? And there's a defense train with a tank on it. There's a hub of a prop. These North Carolinians who were part of Doolittle Raiders. Bill Farrell was a pilot, and his plane had the name Bat Out of Hell. They bailed out over Nanchang, were captured in 1 hour, taken to Tokyo, interrogated, tortured, convicted for crimes against the Japanese. They were then executed by a firing squad. I think this was the only team that actually didn't make it. Flight engineer. Built out in China. Remained in the China-Burma India theater until June 1943. He flew C-47s, so he survived the Doolittle raid. George Pretty has a historical marker somewhere, probably Greensboro. And here he is flying his P-51 Mustang. He was the #1 P-51 ace. And there's a picture of him there. Cribe Samadi was his name of his plane. There's a picture of him climbing out of the cockpit. This flag flew over the Bodney Air Base in England, where the 352nd Fighters Group was based in World War II. This is Bill Pretty, a bust of him. Pictures of Bill Pretty, his units. When the plane shot down by one of the Pretty brothers. And here's a bust of George Pretty. Okay, I'm leaving Hangar 2. And look, this is the walkway. And look, they have white crystals, quartz, lining the walkway. They have white crystal quartz lining the runway, or walkway between the two hangars. It's hot already. Okay, back in hangar number 1. Let's look at the wall displays. Uniforms, flying gear. This is called a Battle of Britain display. Paintings by Jeff Nutkins. This is Winston Churchill. History with its flickering lamp stumbles along the trail of the past, trying to reconstruct its scenes, to revive its echoes and kindle with pale gleams the passion of former days. November 12, 1940. Scenes of the Battle of Britain. This guy's a very good artist, illustrator. And these are the Red Tails P-51 Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen. They formed the 332nd Fighter Group. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first black American aviators, African aviators in the United States Armed Forces. They flew P-51s and B-25s. That's when the Army was still segregated. And these are the Tuskegee Airmen of North Carolina. It's quite a list of them. So this movie, Red Tails, was made about them. And there's Rosie the Riveter. She became an icon for the women who worked in defense industries. And these are the lady pilots. Here's Sally Ride. Harriet Quimby. Jacqueline Cockrum. Pancho Barnes. Bessie Coleman. Amelia Earhart. And Phoebe Omphey. These are pioneers in flight as well as later years. Look at this lady here. 82nd Airborne Division. Confederate Air Force. It's no longer that name that, but it's still in existence. It's Legacy Air Force or something like that. They had quite a collection of planes. They got models everywhere. Look, these are instruments from various aircraft. And here we have Army-Navy humor. Not sure what this is about. More models up there, more pictures up there. It's hard to take all of this in. Uniforms, Navy, Army. More models. And look at these guns here. Look at that one. A British Sten gun. I think paratroopers use those. More models. And what kind of gun is this? It's a brown. These are memorabilia from World War II. Nazi symbolism captured by U.S. troops. Yep. Headlines from the Milwaukee Sentinel. What is this? Propaganda leaflets. Radio and money dropped by B-52s in Vietnam. There's a B-52, which is still flying. That's the amazing thing. History of the Korean War. Wild Weasel, that was Vietnam. Air Force jamming plane. More models up there. Man, they have a lot of models. The Greatest Generation, 1901 to 1927. They were the ones who fought in World War II.
During Christmas week of 1972, Colonel John Dalton bombed the most lethal fighter in North Vietnam twice. Crash landed his B-52, flew halfway around the world, stopping to pick up a silver star, and still made it back home Christmas Eve.
I said it's part of the uniform. This is for a bomber group. 50 mission crusher made by civilian pilots. Showing the uniform that they wore as bomber pilots. A lot of the B-17s were not pressurized. So it got pretty deadgum cold at 30,000 feet. This is why they had these type of uniforms on when they were flying missions, because it was cold, extremely cold. Look at all these models up here on the shelf. These are hats, caps, Nazi German and German helmets, World War I, World War II. Some of the rifles. And this is the RAF flying suits. Notice the silk scarf, the gloves, mitts, boots. All right, what do we have here? What theater was this? Italian. This is at the end of World War II. Headlines here. B-25 crew had a helmet, parachute, silk mount, B-10 World War II flight jacket. Japanese soldiers, summer uniform. There's a wool coat, heavy coat. And Air Force Cadet, 1960 uniform. All of this stuff was donated to the museum from various people. Here's a Nazi flag, 1945, captured by the Americans, brought home. And I don't know what that swastika is from. Aluminum skin from a German Junkers Ju-88. Propeller from a Messerschmitt 109. Part of it, half of it. And U.S. rocket. All right, what we got here? I think I'm doing this backwards. Let's take a break and go back here to the proper place. Okay, let's see what we got here. A2 flight jacket. This is World War II paraphernalia from the various services. U.S. entrenching tool. This is a Army foot soldier, or maybe a paratrooper. It's probably a paratrooper. I think that's a technical sergeant insignia. And this is World War I uniform. Seat pack parachute. Carbine. This had to be a paratrooper. And what is this right here? Air Corps pilot, Pacific Theater. Camp Lee, Virginia, 1941. Look at this flight formation. Camp Sevier, South Carolina. I don't know where that is. There's a Mae West jacket. In case you fell in the water. A Mae West flotation device. In case you fell into the ocean. Magazine cover, July 3rd, 1944. Buy war bonds. And here's a Corsair F4U model. World War II ration books from different places. This is Japanese pesos. Do Japanese have pesos? Look at these little coins right here from various countries. They're Italian, German, and various uniform paraphernalia. 17 model. World War I paraphernalia, personal items. This is in the Mariana Islands. Those are profiles of aircraft they used to train gunners how to spot enemy aircraft. Look here, they got a library. Check this out. It's called the Row Gallery. And look at these devices. This tricycle, huge tricycle. And this is SpongeBob or somebody. Oh, Munchkins, what are those things? Two spiders engaged in some way. And this is a fish here. This is some kind of creepy crawler worm. This is a egret. What is this? This some kind of hen. And we have a some kind of man device, like a fish. Purple bicycle wheel. A little car made out of a wagon bed. And this is a swan, duck, something or other. Look, a lawnmower. Oh, the wind stopped blowing. All right, then we have a cowboy. Snails. Octopi. And this guy is the star of the show. The New Jersey windmill. Creature popping out of the trash can. It's all made out of scrap metal, old tanks, propane tanks, etc. Well, they're not open. Look, half a bicycle. Barn art. Hey, eat less cheese, says the moon. These are goats right here. So this is Highway 64 near Siler City,